Mercedes likes a plan. They put the S-Class sedan EV into the market with the EQS and followed that up with the E-Class EQE. They then introduced the EQS SUV to the world, and surprise, here comes the EQE SUV, the E-Class of electric SUVs. This is the Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV. It starts at $77,900. It is a smaller luxury electric vehicle from the German automaker. We have the EQS SUV. This is for folks, well, that don't need all that room and maybe not quite as much luxury. Behind the wheel of the EQE SUV, you're getting that typical Mercedes-Benz luxury driving experience. The acceleration curve is nice and smooth. Yes, you do get that low-end torque. It does have a sport mode, which is great if you need to pass somebody, but for the most part, you really don't need to use it. The steering is tight, but very composed. It is not twitchy at all. It's just really nice and smooth. Essentially everything about this vehicle is pretty silky, to be honest. Everyone's gonna have a nice, classy time in the EQE SUV. It's for people who want that Mercedes-Benz SUV electric luxury, but don't want to spend the money on the larger EQS SUV. Well, I like pretty much everything else about the driving experience of this vehicle. What I don't like is how Mercedes-Benz has implemented regenerative braking. Now, the regenerative braking itself is fine. You have no regenerative braking, you have normal, and you have strong, and then you have intelligent. Intelligent takes into account, uses radar, takes into account other vehicles. It's a great little system. What I don't like is that the brake pedal moves. It actually moves. It's like there's a ghost in the car. So if I lift my foot off the accelerator, the ghost moves the brake pedal down for me. I don't like that. Leave the brake pedal where I expect it to be. And if you do happen to go off-road, well, it has an off-road mode. I'm rising up the vehicle, I'm on a dirt road, and yeah, I don't feel like I'm putting the vehicle in danger at all. Now, obviously, this is not built for that hardcore off-roading that very few people actually do, but for dirt roads, if you live in an area that has a lot of rain, you've had some issues with the roads washing out, this vehicle will, it can handle them. Interior-wise, the seats are, well, they're extremely comfortable. I've been in 2 trim levels of this vehicle. I've been in the 500 with a nice seats. This is the AMG trim level. It's an AMG trim level, not an AMG, different things. But having said that, in both vehicles, the seats were very comfortable. I spent hours in this vehicle already. There's actually quite a lot of side support. Even though this vehicle is not for bombing canyons or going around corners like a crazy person, you do get some nice side support, which is always wonderful when you're driving a vehicle. There's plenty of leg and headroom in the back seats for your tall friends. I'm 6'2", I can sit behind me. It can be a little tight, but it's not as bad as other vehicles. And of course, in the back, you got cargo space. As for in-car technology, well, you still have MBUX, best system on the market. You still have the Mercedes-Benz Hey Mercedes voice assistant, again, probably the best on the market. That said, how much I love MBUX and all that, the hyper screen, the fact that you have this additional screen that's over in front of the passenger, I still don't see the value in that. I think most people are bringing their phones and their tablets with them, the passengers. I was able to watch a movie with it while we were driving around, while someone else was driving the vehicle. So it does work. For me, I don't see the value in that passenger screen, but you may be different. The MBUX system is housed behind either a portrait-oriented 12.8 OLED touchscreen or the hyperscreen that takes up the entire dashboard and includes a passenger display. As for the design, I've said this before, the EQ design language looks much nicer on the SUVs than it does on the sedans, just because of this language. It's a bit bulbous. A lot of people really don't like what Mercedes has done with its EQ lineup. Of course, a lot of it has to do with drag coefficient, but I will say this, is that the back end of the EQE, the EQS, literally all the EQ vehicles, I think I prefer the back end more than I do on the gas vehicles. Plus, you get the cool little loop-de-loop lights. The one thing that people who are looking at SUVs care about, and that is cargo space, regardless of whether or not it's an EV or a luxury vehicle. This vehicle will comfortably sit 4 adults, 5 if you want to squeeze in real tight. But even with that, you still have plenty of cargo space back here for at least 4, possibly 5 rolling bags, carry-on rolling bags. So if you got you and 3 of your friends are going on a trip, you all got rolling bags and some backpacks, you shouldn't have any issue filling up the back of this vehicle. The EQE SUV's range, well, it differs from trim level to trim level. If you decide for the 350 all-wheel drive 4MATIC, you'll get 253 miles of range. But if you decide for the rear-wheel drive 350 plus, you'll get 279 miles of range. Meanwhile, there in the middle is the 500 4MATIC with 269 miles of range. 2 features that will increase the efficiency of an EV will make their debut on the EQE SUV. The first is a heat pump, which will more efficiently heat the cabin, which is great if you live in a cold region or if you just get up early and it's cold outside. Heating up the vehicle, well, it can take a toll on your range. A heat pump will do that more efficiently. The second is that the front motor on the all-wheel drive versions of the EQE SUV, the front motor can be decoupled via a clutch. So if, let's say, you're driving on the freeway, you're doing 70 miles an hour, instead of having that motor spinning and not really doing anything except creating friction, you can decouple that motor and the wheels will just spin freely, therefore giving you more efficiency at freeway speeds. More efficiency means more range. What's interesting is the pricing for the 350 variants. Let's say you want the 350 plus, the rear-wheel drive version with the most amount of range, $77,900. But if you want the 350 4MATIC with all-wheel drive and a little bit more power, a little bit more torque, $77,900. They're the same price. So you can either pay for more range or traction and a little bit more torque. Your choice. Meanwhile, the more powerful 500 4MATIC starts at $89,500. And all of these variants will be available in US showrooms this spring. Having driven the 350 and the 500, I recommend the 350. Sure, the 500 has more power. It's 288 horsepower and 564 pound-feet of torque versus the 500's 402 horsepower and 633 pound-feet of torque. But having driven both and deciding, well, you don't really need that much power for this vehicle, I recommend the 350 in either variant, either the all-wheel drive 4MATIC or the longer range 350 plus. It hits those marks with a 90.6 kilowatt hour capacity battery pack, and it'll DC fast charge at speeds up to 170 kilowatts at a, well, DC fast charger that supports speeds that quick. Now, it's not quite as quick as we would like. We would like to see above 200, but Mercedes is still using a 400 volt system for its vehicles. So the EQE SUV does deliver that luxury experience you expect from Mercedes-Benz. And of course, it's also an EV, so you're gonna feel better about the environment. It's not quite as big or as luxurious as the EQS SUV, but you are going to save some money. For more automotive coverage next to the ocean in Portugal, be sure to subscribe to Engadget.